Hello and welcome to the 13th episode of Fresh Off the Reel. My name is Lib,
And my name is suffering from post No Way Home depression, Pat.
just the same as everyone else who watched No Way Home. Yep.
Life is meaningless.
Life before No Way Home was fine. Life after No Way Home was, you know what, it's actually pretty fine.
It's just as fun, but now I don't have a movie to be excited for. Is it fine?
You have
I have the
Fantastic
Batman.
Four. Oh yeah, the
I have the
Batman.
Batman. I have the Batman.
You have the
Which
Batman.
got a trailer. Which got a trailer this week. I'm saying this now because we're not talking about it later.
Yeah, so obviously, if it wasn't blatantly obvious, today we're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, and because we're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, the episode that Pat's been waiting for since the beginning of the podcast, we're probably going to be talking about it for a long time. So we're not going to do hot off the presses this episode. So we're just going to get all the shit, all the big stuff that happened last week and this week off the plate right away. But the Batman trailer that happened, Black Cat is in it. I mean Catwoman. Marvel and DC, you gotta fucking know these things.
Hey man, Black Cat is a Spider-Man character, and we're talking about a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, you know what? That's okay. We're good. We're good with that. Maybe Black Cat's gonna
And
be the next Spider-Man thing. Who knows?
well, she's in TASM too, kind of. So there's that.
But Felicia Hardy's in it, but not Black Cat.
Yeah, Felicia Hardy is in it. She doesn't suit up.
Cool.
And
Um.
she doesn't know Spider-Man's identity, so she wasn't invited to this one.
Oh. Let's see. What else? Is there any? I don't think.
No, that's it. I want to move on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
That's
want to
that's it. Really. That's it.
yeah. It was just like a cute segue, and but yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. The rest of the news is based on No Way Home that I have. So let's do this. So, No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home is the third movie in the Home trilogy of the
Yep, and
MCU.
it's the sixth, I believe, MCU appearance of Spider-Man.
Let's see. We got
Civil War,
Civil War, Homecoming,
Infinity War.
Infinity War, Endgame. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, sixth.
It says the sixth appearance of Peter Parker Spider-Man in.
Holland's interpretation.
Yep.
Everyone knows this. We have opinions. You want to get yours out of the way before we like just on Tom's Peter, and also just briefly Homecoming and Far From Home.
Okay, so on Tom Holland's Peter, I think he's a really good Peter Parker. I have not read any of the comics. I'm raising my hand and putting my foot down on that. I have not read any of the comics. I've played the PS4 game, and that's the extent to my knowledge. I've seen, the Raimi trilogy, I've seen the Amazing Spider-Man duology, and I've seen this, and I've played the games. That's it. So, I don't have any connection to the comics, unlike Pat, who read the comics. But for me, I think Tom Holland's a great interpretation of Spider-Man. I don't think he's a good interpretation of Peter Parker because I don't really get any of that. He's super super smart that I get from all the other Peter Parkers, but he's more of a kid. He's younger. I think that in this.
He's not younger. He's the same age as the other two, but the other two were older. Like the actors were older playing him.
Yeah, the actors were older, but I
I
mean
believe
like
Tom
Peter.
was yeah, I believe Tom was actually like 16, 17 when he started playing Peter.
That's crazy.
He's my age. So Civil War came out in I want to say like
2016.
2016. So yeah, he would have been like 19, 20, maybe yeah, around there.
Shit.
He's my age. He's my age. I'm pretty sure I might be a bit older actually.
So there you go. But I don't really get the big. I don't really get the feel of Peter Parker in this. But as for the Spider-Man kind of stuff, Homecoming, great. Far From Home, I think is good. No Way Home, I don't think is the best one of the three, but it is really really good. I gave it 4.5 stars. And just for like reference, I gave Homecoming 5 stars, and I gave Far From Home 3.5. Take
So
on to you, Pat.
my turn. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Peter Parker is my favorite fictional character ever. I have a bit of a problem. I've been reading and consuming Spider-Man media my whole life. I've been a huge Spider-Man fan since I was a kid. I went through my edgy teenage I like Batman more phase when I was in high school, but but Peter Parker has always been a part of my life in some fashion. I like Tom Holland. I think Tom Holland's a great actor who definitely peaks in this movie. I think this is definitely his best performance as Peter Parker. I love Homecoming. I think Homecoming is a great introduction to this version of the character, and I think he's really good in Civil War. And every time we see him after Homecoming, it gets progressively worse until this. I've talked briefly here and there in a couple of episodes, and I've talked everyone's ear off in my personal time about how much I don't like Far From Home. I'm sure that'll come up in this episode because there's things that this movie fixes about that movie, and I'll have to talk briefly about it to make that connection. Yeah, I don't like Far From Home. I don't like how much this version of the character relies on someone else. Like he's very sidekicky, if that makes sense. And I don't think when I think Spider-Man, I don't think of him as a sidekick. And especially with Tony Stark, Iron Man, he feels like he's just in this character's shadow. And I think movies like Far From Home go out of their way to make you feel that way.
Right.
Even though the movie has a point in trying to make it like Peter's arc is becoming Spider-Man, becoming his own hero. I think Far From Home kind of missed the mark. They didn't really get that point across the way they wanted to or should have. But this movie improves a lot on that, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But yeah, I really like. Aside from that, I do like Tom Holland as an actor. I like how he plays Peter Parker. As for the nitty gritty, we'll talk about it when we get into this movie because this really is a Peter Parker story.
Right.
Now, it's a Spider-Man action flick, but we finally get that deep dive into Peter Parker that I've been waiting 6 movies for here, and I'm very happy with the result. I'll do the same as Lib. I gave Homecoming a 4 out of 5. I gave Far From Home, I believe, 2 out of 5. Let me just confirm. I gave it 2.5 out of 5,
Okay.
and I did not rate this one. This movie is weird for me, but based on my just enjoyment walking out of the theater and that theater experience, and then my time since then, it's probably a 5. But I don't feel comfortable giving it a 5. So right now it's unrated. But I loved it. I'll just throw that out there. I did love this movie.
Okay. Yeah, podcast first. Pat didn't actually rate this movie. So this is
Probably won't be podcast last. I don't know how I feel about the Batman yet.
well,
Obviously,
it's not out.
haven't seen it obviously, but I feel like that's gonna be another one where I'm just gonna be like, okay, I need this to settle, and I'll rate it later.
Maybe in 3 years he'll finally find out what he feels about No Way Home.
And then 3 years, I'll rate Far From Home even lower.
Anyways, let's
So yeah,
talk cinema for a good while.
watch this end up being like anticlimactically short. But yeah, Spider-Man was good. Roll credits.
Guys, this movie was pretty good. Alright, let's get this out of the way. Disclaimer, we're gonna spoil the entire fucking thing. We're not gonna leave one thing out of this.
Yeah, I think this more than any of our episodes, we need to put a spoiler disclaimer
Yeah,
because I don't think it's possible to talk about this movie at all without going into spoilers.
it's very
So
hard
yeah,
to do so.
we're gonna be spoiling it a lot. We'll try to have some kind of formula where like maybe we'll save the big stuff for later, and we'll go like in chronological order of how things happen in the movie or whatever. But there will be spoilers. We will be talking about other movies,
Yeah.
but it'll make sense hopefully.
Yeah, so for pretty much most of the MCU and this movie and the other Spider-Man movies, just huge disclaimer, spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie yet, go watch it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
You're not
I'm
gonna
sure.
regret it.
I'm sure anybody who cares would have seen because we're gonna be spoiling the other, like the Raimi trilogy and the Tasm duology. We're gonna be spoiling those. I'm sure if you're watching this, you've already seen those. But heads up, we are gonna be spoiling those as well.
Yep.
It's not just this movie. Yeah. So
We're gonna be spoiling Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
yeah, we'll definitely be talking about everyone's favorite Broadway musical. Uh,
So
we'll be
there
talking
you
about
go.
spoiling Spectacular Spider-Man, the best cartoon ever made.
There's your Spider-Man disclaimer, spoiler warning. 3, 2, 1. Tobey Maguire. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, we'll save that for later. But yeah, Toby and Andrew are here. Well, worst kept secret in Hollywood. Um,
For real.
yeah, but so we'll start like we usually do. I'll read the letterboxed description of the movie, and then we'll just jump into it.
Yep.
This is directly from Letterboxd, probably the same as Google. I think those are usually the same.
Oh wait, I just noticed there's no tagline on the Letterboxd review. There usually is.
Peter Parker is unmasked and no longer able to separate his normal life from his high stakes of being a superhero. When he asks help from Doctor Strange, the stakes become even more dangerous, forcing him to discover what it truly means to be Spider-Man.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I thought Homecoming was about him trying to figure out what it truly means to be Spider-Man.
Wait,
I
I
thought
wanna see what it says for Homecoming.
I thought Far From Home was about him discovering what it truly means to be Spider-Man. But hey, 3 movies in, here we are. He discovered it. Maybe we'll talk about that.
Uh, okay, no, I feel like they've said what it truly means to be Spider-Man before.
Well, that's literally what Homecoming and Far From Home is about.
Oh, I just
Every,
looked at the synopses for the other two, but it didn't say. Also, by the way, we didn't say this before, but the directed by Jon Watts,
yeah,
good
the whole
guy.
trilogy by Jon Watts. He's here to stay, and he's directing Fantastic Four, so
He is
he'll be
directing
around.
Fantastic Four. What else has he directed? Cop Car, Clown. That's it.
Nothing of note.
What the fuck is
So
Cop Car?
while you're looking up the other 2 movies, I'll just read off the cast real quick. A lot of returning faces from the MCU. A lot of returning faces from the Web at Raimi movies. We got Tom Holland, Zendaya, Benedict Cumberbatch, who I'm very happy has a very small role here. We got Ned. I don't remember the actor's name.
Jacob
We got John
Bartolone.
Favreau, Jimmy Fox, Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, Benedict Wong, who's Wong, J.K. Simmons, Rhys Ifrans, Charlie Cox, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield. We got a lot of big names here.
Big names.
Big names from the Spider-Man mythos. Big names from Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's a movie full of characters from lots of movies, and a big worry I think we both had going into this was that these characters weren't gonna get enough screen time, or they weren't gonna get their fair share of that time, right? Some of them would be undercooked, and to an extent, I do feel that way. But generally, I think the main heavy hitters all got their time. There isn't one that I think wasn't good, but I do think the lizard could have been removed from this and nothing changes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, for me it's like that for the lizard definitely. Uh I was very scared about that. That was my main fear going into this because that's the main reason why I don't like Endgame was because there were too many characters and
yeah.
most not only did almost all of them get nerfed for the final battle, even in Infinity War as well, but a lot of them didn't even get any lines at all, just for the sheer number of characters that there were. Like I don't think Hope said a single word in that movie, right?
In Endgame, no. Or
Yeah.
she might have a line to Scott, and obviously like this isn't Endgame tier in terms of characters, but like just to say every actor I listed aside from Charlie Cox has at least like 5 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, Charlie Cox is only there for one scene, it's like 3 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, but every other character has like significant, at least compared to some others, screen time. And aside from the lizard, they all feel fine. No one really feels undercooked, so I don't really have any complaints.
Yeah.
The focus is definitely on Willem Dafoe's Goblin and Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. As far as villains, they're like the main villains. More Goblin than Otto, but we'll talk about that. Yeah, everyone gets their time. I was a bit worried Benedict Cumberbatch would take up too much screen time or that he'd be too involved in the story, and thankfully he isn't. He's in it for maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but he kind of sits out for most of the big stuff, which I'm fine with because, like I said earlier, I have a problem with Spider-Man relying too heavily on the Avengers, and I thought Tony was too heavily involved in this Peter story. I didn't want that to be the same for Doctor Strange, so I'm happy he has what he has. They didn't go further with it. Yeah,
Yeah, so let's you do you want to like pick apart all the characters or do you want to start with do you want to go in chronological order?
yeah. Let's just go like in order of what happens, right? So like
Okay.
We're not gonna be recapping the story. We're just gonna talk about things as they happened.
Yeah, we're not gonna repeat episode 4, and it's not good.
So this movie takes place like immediately after the end of Far From Home.
Yeah,
Peter's identity is revealed by Mysterio. Shenanigans ensue. Peter's whole life is changed, and we all saw the trailer. He ends up going to Doctor Strange, right?
right.
So I believe it was Tom Holland and Zendaya who said this, but originally this wasn't a multiverse movie. This was gonna just be a sequel to Far From Home. Because like in reality, this really isn't a sequel to that movie. Like after the first like maybe 20 minutes, this is pretty independent.
Yeah, it's kind of just what happened after, not really a sequel.
Yeah.
It's more of
So
a continuing.
Zendaya and Tom had said, at least I believe this is true. I might be wrong. That the original plan wasn't a multiverse movie, and it was going to be about Kraven the Hunter hunting down Spider-Man. Maybe Jay Jonah paid him or whatever.
Yeah.
And one, I really want that movie. I wish we got that. Maybe not wish we got that instead, but I do wish we could have seen that. But I also kind of wish we got to see more of the fallout from Far From Home. Like you said earlier, Lib, Charlie Cox is in this as he's back as Matt Murdock as Daredevil, for one scene, and I love to see him. But apparently there was a court case scene that was cut,
Yeah.
and I guess like this movie's 2.5 hours long. Like it's long enough. We don't need to pad out that runtime. But I kind of wish we got to see that, and we got to see more of Peter dealing with his life, like after the reveal, because it's really is like cleaned up really quick. Doctor Strange appears, and then they take care of it, and they have to deal with the multiverse shenanigans instead.
Right. And another thing, it's hard to believe, but I'm sure a lot of people have no idea who the fuck Matt Murdock is. Probably a good like 10% of the theater probably didn't know who Matt Murdock was and why everyone was freaking out so much and looked it up afterwards. So I
I,
I,
I
I think having an establishing scene just to not to tell him like not to tell the audience specifically like, oh, he's a superhero, but just just to show him in court, just to get the audience more acquainted with this character, because now for those people he's just thrown into this to the MCU. For us he's not. For us he's like, oh wow. But for people who don't know who Matt Murdock is, he's just thrown into the MCU now, and no one knows who he is.
I think like as an establishing scene, the one we get is fine. Like we know he's a lawyer, we know he's blind, and we know he has some kind of supernatural ability because he catches the brick. But I want to see him in action. That's just as a fan of the show, I wanted to see him in action, and knowing that that scene exists and was cut, I definitely want to see it.
It'll probably be on
Uh,
the DVD.
I hope it's on the DVD.
I'm gonna buy the DVD.
Same.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, like, Matt's back, and I'm very happy to see him. I think I was the only one in my theater who freaked out, which is fine. My theater, I guess we'll just talk about that because
Right.
it's a bit of a meme that like people were screaming in the theaters, and you either love that or hate that, right? Like it's not for everybody. There's
I
some people
don't like
who just
that.
wanna, yeah, some people just want to sit there and watch the movie and shut up, and that's fine. And for the most part, I agree. There are certain movies that I think need that hype, and I was screaming the whole time for No Way Home. My whole theater was getting into it, but I was the only one who screamed for My Blind Son.
The only one?
I think I was either the only one, or like it was very like few people were like excited to see Charlie Cox. Daredevil is my fourth favorite superhero in comic books, so I really love Daredevil.
I
Yeah, so I'm excited to see him. With him back in this, and spoilers for Hawkeye, Kingpin being back in that show, I think it's safe to say we'll be seeing more of them in the future in the MCU,
yeah.
which is good because I love them. All I could say is I hope we get more of that. I hope we get that court case scene. Again, just knowing that scene exists just kind of fuels the fire that I wanted to see more of the fallout from No Way from Far From Home. There was even a cut scene with Tom Holland's brother, Harry Holland, who plays like a criminal, who plays a Mysterio supporter who like throws paint on Peter. That's why his suit is like has that green paint on it in the movie. It's because
That's it.
Spider-Man's stopping a criminal, and then the supporter runs up to him and throws the paint and like says, "Oh, Mysterio was right." And we see that for like a brief second in the movie, but according to Tom Holland, that was like a full scene that was cut. So I kind of wish we got more, just like little things like that, just to really
Damn.
hammer in
Um,
the
um,
the fallout.
Imagine being Tom Holland's brother, and then and then you go around telling your friends, guys, I'm in the new Spider-Man movie, and they cut your scene out.
I think he's still credited because he's in that like brief second.
I'm
Um,
gonna see. Hold on, it's Harry.
um, it's Harry Holland, yeah.
Oh,
But
he's not credited. He's not even on the
uh,
Letterboxd. And they usually even on Letterboxd they put the uncredited people. He's not even here.
it sucks to be him.
Sorry, Harry Holland, if you're watching. Oh, there you go. Yeah, he's not there. I even searched Holland. He's not there. Oh well.
Yeah, like it's just really. I want to see that stuff, and I'm sure like the Blu-ray will have deleted scenes, and so maybe we'll have an update to this talk later.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the fallout is really quick. Even like Matt Murdock mentions, oh well, people have you might be free legally, but there's still the court of public opinion, and we see some of that to an extent. A plot point in this movie is Peter, MJ, and Ned are applying to MIT, and they're rejected because of controversy, and
That
that's
that's
why
that's the main reason why Peter wanted to erase everyone's memory about Peter Parker as Spider-Man, so that he can get him and his friends into MIT.
and that is fallout, right, from Far From Home. But I want to see more of the public opinion of him changing. We really only see the riot outside his school, his three teachers, and then the MIT stuff, and that's it. One Jonah, but Jonah hates him regardless. So yeah, it's just things like that I wish we saw more of. But I'm also asking for a completely different movie than the one
Yeah.
that we would have gotten, because there's no time, right? There was no way they would have been able to do that and multiverse, right? So I have to be happy with what we got, and for the most part, I am.
I want to talk a bit about Jonah just to make a joke here because before this was after watching No Way Home for Pat, but for me before watching No Way Home, we watched Whiplash, and J.K. Simmons is amazing in that. So when I was hearing Jonah in this movie, all I was thinking was Fletcher. They're kind of the same. You notice they
He is
have like
an,
the same energy.
he is an angry, angry man.
They're both very angry, angry men. Just Fletcher is actually human, and Jonah's just a hater. He's like the MCU version
Yeah,
of what's his
he
name?
really is just a hater. Alex Jones?
That's it. He's the MCU version of Alex Jones.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, and it's funny because the MCU version of J. Jordan Jameson is like a conspiracy theorist. Like, doesn't even have a like the Bugle as like a newspaper as a newsstand. It's just a guy on the internet.
Yeah.
Kind of, kind of like PS4.
Yeah, on PS4 it's a podcast. But funny thing is with the Daily Bugle in this version of the Daily Bugle, they had this whole marketing thing. The Daily Bugle had its own Twitter account and TikTok account, and J.K. Simmons was putting up videos on there to promote the movie. It
Yeah,
was pretty funny.
for one day only, they also had a newsstand in New York
Yeah, they
where
had
you
an
could buy.
actual you could
Oh,
buy the Daily Bugle
and I
newspaper.
wish I could get my hands on one of those, but I probably won't be able to.
You're gonna find it on eBay for $400 soon. That's gonna be good to put on frame and put on the wall.
Yeah, it would be. But I'm not doing it.
You say that now.
Yeah, yeah, I see that. I'm by cave.
So let's move on to when Peter goes to the
Yeah,
sanctum sanctorum.
yeah. So all this with the MIT situation leads him to going to see Strange. He goes to the Sanctum Sanctorum, and that's how Strange gets involved into the story. Thankfully, very minimally.
So what?
They cast the spell that's in the trailer. Spell happens. They make a couple MCU jokes that I'm not happy about, but I'll save my complaining.
Yeah, but before that, hold on, because before we get too far, I just want to point out that they changed Wong's lines from the trailer, because in the trailer Wong was more like completely against the spell, and he was like, just don't do it, and if I find out you did it, you're not gonna be happy. That was what it was kind of like in the trailer, but in the movie, Wong was more like, "Just leave me out of it. You could do it, but just leave me out of it."
Right, yeah.
Also, just I think Pat and I talked about this before, but Wong's gonna die. Like, there's no way he's not, right?
Yeah, so like this movie establishes that while they were blipped, Wong became the Sorcerer Supreme. And yeah, he's dead. He's dead in Multiverse of Madness.
He's
There's like no
gonna
doubt
die.
about it. Which sucks because I like Wong. I think he's like the only quippy character. Like the only MCU character that only exists to make jokes that I enjoy.
Yeah, I really like Wong, and you got that weird mystery factor in Shang-Chi when he showed up. So it's like, huh, why the fuck is he here? You know?
I mean, he's dead. Like, rest in peace, Wong.
Yeah, he's straight up dead.
Who I learned recently was a British actor.
What?
Yeah,
No way. I gotta look that up.
like like full on British accent. He's British. Yeah, he's really good at doing accents.
What? Oh my god. Jeez.
Yeah, his name is Benedict Wong, and I listened to an interview with him at the No Way Home premiere, and yep, he's British.
Wow. Okay, well, we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk more about a certain person's British accent in a different movie later today. We're gonna get there when we get there, when we're done talking about No Way Home, because in Ocean's 11 there's something funny. Anyways, so they go to do the spell like Pat said, spell fucks up.
And it brings in. So it's weird. It's like a little weird, but they bring in the five villains. So there's Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Electro, Lizard, and Sandman.
Yeah.
They're brought. So they do finally clarify that because it was always a mystery in the trailers. They're brought right before they would be defeated by Spider-Man, except Sandman. He's a little bit unclear because it's definitely after he like talks to Peter at the end of Spider-Man 3 and he like becomes reformed.
Yeah.
But we don't know if he like how much time has passed for him. There's two other characters who are brought up that also isn't super clear when they come from that we'll talk about later. So like the consistency of like how the spell works is kind of up in the air. Strange says the only rule was they had to know Spider-Man's identity, which isn't true for Electro, but he's here.
Yeah.
And and then there's Sandman, and then the other two that don't really follow the same consistency the other four have. So it's a little weird, but whatever. It's dumb comic book shit, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But yeah, those villains are brought into the MCU, starting with Doc Ock, which makes sense because literally all the trailers focused on it. So we've all seen it. The bridge fight.
Yeah, it's
Um,
pretty much the entire bridge fight was online in the trailers, in the TV spots, in the promos, in the
yep.
posters.
So we get there. Just the whole multiverse manhunt begins. We start with Otto and we get some fun Otto interaction with this Peter, and Otto's the one who like figures it out. Like he's the one who explains it to us. Really, they're like, oh, like we're they're chasing ghosts because Otto sees Norman Osborn on the bridge, and well, Otto Norman died, so that's how things are pieced together. I was a little worried about how they were going to handle that, especially for Doc Ock, because I think like it's easy to write it off as dumb comic book shit. Oh, they're just alive now, and that's it, and move on, right?
Right.
But like Otto, Otto's last lines before he dies are "I will not die a monster." I was I was a little worried that they were gonna bring him back and they were gonna shit all over Spider-Man 2 and his arc just for the sake of having him be evil. But they definitely find that good middle ground where like, okay, they're taken right before they're defeated. It's fine. They also have to make certain revelations about what's happening like we do, like Peter Parker does. So it's cool. And I know it was cool to see Otto fight again. Really wish the arms were practical, like in the old movie, but I'll live.
Yeah, there's CG here. It looks good though.
Yeah, the CG looks good, but I think like they missed that charm. Now that I know that they're CG.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Peter catches Otto, he sees Goblin, and that's when Strange comes back and gives Peter his mission.
The trailer makes it look like Doctor Strange is in the movie for most of it, or if not all of it. Because
Yeah, he's really not in it much. He's in the scene, like he gives Peter his mission.
yeah, he gives him the thing that goes on his arm. I don't know what to call it. What did they even call it something? This guy doesn't have a name.
Can I just say that that thing and the black suit, like the black and gold suit, which is just the Far From Home suit inside out, that only exists to sell toys. It serves no purpose in the story.
Yeah, it's a, yeah. Well, okay, the arm thing kind of does.
The arm thing does, but the arm thing being attached to the black suit serves like it's just to sell toys. That thing could have gone on anything. It could have gone on his suit he was actually wearing, the blue suit
Yeah.
with tie, his fancy suit, and it would have been fine.
Yes. So, and the whole thing about the black suit, like the way he comes up with the idea of just turning it inside out, because he got
Yeah,
the
sure.
paint on it, and then
Yeah,
he just turned it inside out. He's like, oh, that works.
yeah. It
But
exists to sell toys. It's barely in the movie.
I like
He
how
wears
it looks in the movie because you see like some wires and some of the nylon thread just like coming out. Some of the wires are detached. Like it looks impromptu.
yeah, I don't like the look and I don't like its purpose. I'm completely indifferent to it, but sure. Yeah.
So the arm thing, he shoots the person, and then they show up in the jail cell.
Yeah.
And Peter and everyone else they're going around trying to Peter and Strange they're going around trying to imprison all the villains. And just to ride it home that the lizard is just not really in this movie to begin with. He's already there. Like there's not even a scene where they go and catch him. He's already in the prison.
Yeah, Strange catches him off screen and it's really like you could just as much as I like the lizard as like as a content of the comics, he does not need to be in this movie. You could take him out and nothing really changes. He's there to be an example and then he's there to make two MCU jokes.
Also, who plays as Kurt Connors?
It's Risifans. I'm definitely pronouncing that
Because like
properly.
in the
It's the
end,
same actor. It's the same actor from Amazing Spider-Man. Well, the same voice as Amazing Spider-Man. Because fun fact about the end of the movie, slight we're jumping ahead a little bit just to
is
say
this
this.
CG?
No, no, it's not CG. So Sandman and Lizard's human forms are reused footage. They're not
Oh,
even. It's not even CG. It's straight up upscaled reused footage.
I see. Okay.
They
Wow.
definitely got the actors back to do their voices, but they didn't shoot anything with them.
Why?
Probably because of COVID, but it's straight up reused footage. But anyway,
I thought it was
that's for
CG.
later. That's for later.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, also speaking of of Sandman, never goes in his human form.
yeah. The one time we see his human form is reused footage.
What?
So
How come we don't see his human? I mean, other than that reason you just said, but
it's probably it's probably just because they couldn't get the actor and the CG was cheaper to make him all sand. I guess I don't know. I can't tell you.
I don't know, but he catches everybody, and at the beginning, Sandman uh is not hostile towards Peter. He actually he tries to help in the capture of Electro, which is I like that. That's cool.
My
Like
favorite underrated line in this movie is "Hey Peter, it's your friend Flint Marco." I'm like, yes, that's my boy. That's such an underrated line.
it's your friend Flip Markov. If he was just like who
Yeah, literally.
who the fuck are you?
Yeah, it's a cute thing from like Spider-Man 3, like that they maintain.
I really like that's it's cool. And then they capture he captures Electro, and then Flint's just like what the fuck did you do to him? What the hell, man? And it shoots him.
Yeah,
So
then Flint is trapped. We get to see some fun banter between
all the
Jamie
villains.
Foxx and the others. I have to say, Jamie Foxx, I love here.
Yeah, me
I am
too.
super I am super indifferent to him in TASM 2. But in here he's sorry, I'm burping.
It's
He's
okay.
uh he's great here. He has really fun banter. He's actually like funny. And that's a big issue I had with him in Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's because Jamie Foxx is such a charismatic, funny actor, and they do nothing with it. But in this movie, he's actually like funny and he's charming and he's fun to bounce off of. He bounces off the other people well. He's just really fun to watch.
Yeah, for me, I'm super indifferent to Jamie Foxx just in general. I don't know how I feel about Jamie Foxx yet. I've only seen a couple movies with him. Like I don't like him in Baby Driver. I don't like him in in Amazing Spider-Man. I like him here. I like him in Soul. I haven't seen Django Unchained, but I
He's
need.
good. He's really good in Django. He's
Is
really good
he?
in
He
Django.
is. Because I don't know. I don't know what it is. He just
I think what
well
really
in Spider-Man the reason why I didn't like him is because he doesn't really convey Electro.
I think I just have with him, um,
He's also kind of typecasted.
he's typecasted. He's always like the serious, like the stereotype bad guy. But, like in interviews and in like in his at least like what we see of his personal life, which obviously is just a mask, because
Jamie
who
Foxx
knows what,
isn't even his real name.
yeah, who knows how celebrities really are. But like he just comes off as a super funny guy.
Well,
And then
I haven't seen interviews with him, so I should probably check those out.
yeah, he's fun in interviews, and then in here he's pretty good. We kind of skimmed over it, but Alfred Molina is also fantastic in this movie.
Oh
He's
yeah.
such a talented actor, and he plays Otto like with all his heart. He's great.
I love Alfred Molina here.
I think he's my favorite performance in this movie. He's still able to capture the evil Otto, or like he's still able to capture the heart of Doctor Octopus, and then he's also able to play Doctor Otto Octavius so well later in the movie.
Yeah.
He's so good. He has so many good interactions with both the MCU cast and characters from his universe. Like I really love his dynamic with Willem Dafoe here, who we'll talk about because Willem Dafoe is also back and fantastic.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about him right now actually because after they capture everyone else, they're only missing Green Goblin. When Osborn comes into the picture, he immediately tries to reject the Green Goblin thing. He breaks the mask.
Yeah, well, like yes, but no, right? It's like you learn it's all a facade later.
I no,
Because
but here's the thing though. At the beginning. I don't think it's a facade at the beginning.
yeah, I guess you could argue that.
I think it becomes a facade when they walk into Happy's apartment.
Like once.
I think when he was talking to Aunt May and when they were in Feast and also amazing cameo for Feast. I think that is it was actually Norman Osborn, but then once he got Peter to trust him, he became Green Goblin again.
Yeah, I like to think that it was a facade the whole time, but like the line "All Norman's on sabbatical" kind of tells you otherwise. So yeah, like you could argue it either way. But he's fantastic, and just to say, I really like that they in that scene where he destroys the mask.
Yeah.
I really like that because as much as I love the Raimi movies, I always thought the Green Goblin costume looked stupid. I think a lot of people are on that side where like it looks like a Power Rangers villain. And Willem's face is already so creepy and goblin-y, and he's such a good like good actor with like facial expressions that I was happy that he ditched it and we just got to see his raw performance. And it's so good. If not Alfred Molina, Willem Dafoe is definitely up there for best performance in this film. I made a joke. I made this joke coming out of the theater, and then I made it on like in off camera. We talked about it, and I made this joke.
Oh my god.
But Kevin Feige knew that Green Goblin was never going to be topped. That he's the best comic book movie villain, so they just brought him back.
I,
They knew the MCU could never top him, so they just brought him back.
last night I was watching a review for Spider-Man 3 and they made a great point about why Venom in that movie doesn't work. It's because Topher Grace, he doesn't put on a different voice when the symbiote peels back and then it's just Eddie Brock. He doesn't put on a different voice. Now Tom Hardy didn't really have to do that. Well, first of all, Tom Hardy is also Venom. I think
Yeah.
in
It's
Spider-Man
Tom
3 it's someone else.
Yeah, and Tom Hardy does both voices in Venom.
Yeah, obviously it's pitch and everything, but I saw he made a comparison between Topher Grace and Willem Dafoe. Is that Willem Dafoe distinctly played two different characters in the Raimi trilogy? He played Norman Osborn and he played Green Goblin because he put on a completely different and completely distinct voice for Green Goblin. Like Norman Osborn had a normal voice, and the Willem Dafoe's normal voice, and Green Goblin got the like really crazy voice, you know?
Yeah, he was definitely like he was playing two different characters in that movie. Yeah,
Yeah, and they don't really do that as much here. Like it's very muted. but
Well,
it's still there.
most of the time we see him here, he's the Goblin. He's not Norman Osborn. But when he's playing Norman Osborn, he's definitely playing a more like sad, defeated, scared old man.
Yeah.
And then he turns on the Goblin voice, and then he's playing the Goblin. We just don't see a lot of Norman in this film because Norman's on sabbatical.
He goes to feast, and then this is when Aunt May gives Peter the idea that he can't just send them back because then they'll just die.
Yeah, because Peter knows they're going back to die. It's his responsibility to at least try to help them. And I think it's easy to call Peter an idiot here, and he is. Like, I'm not saying he isn't an idiot, because you probably shouldn't trust these people. And Strange is totally right for reacting the way he does.
And Peter's choice
But
here
yeah,
ruined his life.
it did ruin his life literally. But it is such a Peter Parker question of morality to have a story be about. Like, if nothing else, this is a fantastic Peter Parker story, because that's totally something he would struggle with. Like, if I can redeem them and give them a second chance, in spite of whatever like risks there are whatever risks are involved, it's my responsibility to try that. It's such a Spider-Man moral dilemma that this version of the character never had to deal with. So I'm happy it's here. He's an idiot, and it blows up in his like it definitely blows up spectacularly, and he should have been more prepared and seen it coming. But it's such a great Peter Parker dilemma that, like, you had to do this. He could not just send them back. He had to try.
Right.
Yeah, obviously, like, like we were saying, he tries to help them. He tries. We're gonna drain Electro of his electricity. We're gonna turn the lizard back into a human, which is kind of funny because, like, for characters like Otto and Goblin, and like draining Electro of his electricity, that does cure them, because for Otto and Norman, that they're mental things that have to be overcome, and you drain Electro of his electricity, he can't do anything about it. But, like, he turned the lizard back into a human, and then Kirk Connors goes back to his universe and just does it again.
Yeah, he could just do it again.
Yeah, he just wants to turn people into lizards. So, like, he'll just do it again.
Just
They,
it's not
they
like they
don't really,
destroyed the
they don't,
formula.
yeah, they don't really cure him of his like mental issue. They just turn him into a human. So, like, it's like a joke. Like, a joke I saw on Twitter, where it's like, oh, Peter turns Connors into a human, and then it's like the Filthy Frank Scooby Doo, not Scooby Doo, what the fuck, the Filthy Frank, Goofy, I'll fucking do it again. Yeah, it's really funny.
Oh my
Like,
god.
that's totally what would happen. You cannot convince me otherwise.
Yeah, so Peter starts working on the cures for everybody. Cures just Doc Ock, but managed to only cure Doc Ock. They have then Peter and Norman have this great scene. Well, I guess he's Green Goblin at that point, but Peter and Green Goblin have this really cute scene together where he sees how smart Peter is, and he's like, you should work at Oscorp.
If you don't mind taking multiverse travel to get to work, you
Yeah.
should multiversal commute or something. I remember the exact line. It's really funny.
It's a cute scene. I really like it.
This scene has a lot of cute moments. Like, the sad man sitting on the chair, and then, like, he gets sand everywhere, so he tries to clean it up. But him, like, swiping his hand makes more sand.
Yeah.
It's just really funny.
But this this
Um,
this movie has a lot of visual jokes, and I'm
yeah.
happy they went with that.
May is like, "Oh, do you want regular water or salt water? Because you're an octopus." And that's, like, admittedly, like, a stupid MCU joke that I usually don't like, but I think it was cute here because they all have, like, these cute little moments. It's also, unfortunately, the scene where shit hits the fan,
Yeah,
to nobody's surprise, except Peter, for whatever reason. This fucking idiot.
this was the plan all along. For Gabi, that is
Yeah, but I have to say that the fight that breaks out here is
good.
amazing.
It's
It's
really good.
it's better than the final fight, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. Like the
Um,
because it's a tall building, right? So they have to go to every floor. There's glass smashing. It reminds me a lot of well, there's a lot of scaffolding scenes. I just remembered, but it reminds me a lot
fun
of the scaffolding scene from Shang-Chi. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah, that was a good fight scene too.
Yeah.
The fun fact about the apartment fight It's practical.
That's practical.
Yep,
What?
there's set footage. And another fun fact: Willem Dafoe only agreed to come back if he could do his own stunts and do his own fights.
Wow.
So that was practical, and that was actually Willem Dafoe
Wow.
being tossed around and being and like fighting. Like it's really
I
cool.
love Willem Dafoe.
He's fantastic. He's so good. This is also the scene where we get so Tom Holland before the movie came out said that he played Spider-Man PS4 on set like during breaks and stuff, and he said
Awesome.
they found a way to slip in a move from PS4 into the game, and he borrows the move he uses on Kingpin at the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
Uh,
when he like zips the floor and he's under him and he kicks him down. Really cool.
it's really cool, and this fight is really awesome, and this movie is pretty amazing.
So, at the end of this fight though,
That thing I said on the podcast 3 episodes ago happens verbatim.
Pat was right. Pat was right. Good job. Yeah, everyone, round of applause to Pat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's like a lot of people probably saw this coming. We all expected a death, and I think Aunt May death was the safe choice.
and that's what they
The
went for.
Aunt May fucking dies.
Aunt May fucking dies from Green Goblin exactly the way Pat said in a couple episodes ago. Throws a bomb, explodes, and then while Aunt May's dying, she says, "With great power, there must also come great responsibility."
Yeah. So it's not the Raimi line; it's the Amazing Fantasy 15 line, which is I don't know how people feel about it, but it's there.
I'm
The
sure.
line was finally said.
I'm sure
I'm sure some people
comic
would
book
bother.
fans preferred that one.
Yeah, I prefer that one. I love the Raimi line too, but it was nice to get like some. I'm just happy to see that line being said. I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah, it was great.
We know Uncle Ben happened. We know his death happened in the MCU, but I think we needed to see it, and this version of this version of Peter Parker needed his Uncle Ben moment.
This was a great scene for Peter, I think, because he's yelling for an ambulance and everything, but instead of people trying to help Aunt May, right away everyone's like, "Get the fucking spider." They're trying to arrest him, and then Peter's like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?
Yes,
Help her!" And they're ignoring Aunt May. It's a great scene for him. Like I love this scene.
yeah,
I was so happy to see Peter in agony.
same. I've been waiting to watch this child suffer for 6 movies. A big thing with the MCU, Peter, is like he makes a lot of bad decisions, but he doesn't really suffer for them. He always either gets himself out of it or someone cleans up his mess. So like this is one of I'm not gonna say only times, but one of the few times where Peter has to actually face the consequences of his
He
actions.
actually has consequences in this
Yeah.
movie.
And there's no fix. Like May's dead.
Yeah, there's no one
There's
more
no
day.
spell. There's no spell. There's no Iron Man to tape a ship together. There's nothing. May is gone, and it's his fault.
Yeah, it's entirely his fault. And then he goes to the top of a building to mope, but before that,
For
we
that,
get
we get MCU jokes.
we no no not no not that not that because but well we don't see him go to the building to mope right away because we get some MCU jokes because then we get a scene where it's just Ned and MJ in Ned's house, and this
You want
is
to talk briefly about Ned and MJ before we talk about the big one?
yeah let's yeah we could talk about in the whole MCU.
Yeah, just how we feel about them.
Okay.
So like these two and Flash are Peter's supporting cast basically throughout the entire trilogy. They're the only like consistent supporting
Oh, and
cast.
Flash is just absent from this movie except for the ending.
He has about as much screen time as he does in the other two. But those three are the only consistent supporting cast members. One happy. I am of the opinion that I don't like Ned, and I'm indifferent towards Zendaya as MJ in this trilogy. But this movie gives MJ a lot more to do. I think she finally feels like a real character in this one.
Yeah,
She has her job that she doesn't like, and she has this really cute dynamic with Peter. And, they actually like talk like human beings.
yeah,
You get to learn more about her. There's this really weird line that I wish they elaborated on further and at the beginning of the movie when they're being interrogated. And the detective is like, "Oh, Miss Jones," and she's like, "Oh no, I go by I'm Miss Watson," and she's like, "No, I go by Jones." So I mean, clearly it's because Mary Jane Watson. She's
Yeah.
supposed to. This is confirmation that she is Mary Jane of this universe. She's not called Mary Jane, but
What
like
is it? It's Michelle Jones.
it's Michelle Jones Watson.
Okay.
So we're not getting a Mary Jane Watson in the MCU. At least I don't think.
Good.
This MJ finally confirmed is Mary Jane. So we learned like in just there's problems with her family. We learn about her, and I think it's great.
Yeah, I actually before this movie, I already liked Zendaya as MJ. I think from the get-go, her and Peter had a pretty good dynamic. My problem was with Ned. See,
I don't
I don't like Ned.
I don't like Ned. Ned exists because they had to give Peter Parker
A best friend.
friends that weren't Terry, and then they looked at the comic books and they realized that they don't have the rights to any of Peter's friends because at the time, like they couldn't use Harry Osborn, they couldn't use Johnny Storm. Peter doesn't have any friends.
So who are they gonna use? Okay, they can't use Genki. Hold on. How
Let's
about we make him
let's
exactly the same but change his name?
yeah, let's change his name to a character that Peter Parker is friends with.
But it's a
But we'll
completely
make him,
different character.
yeah, but we'll make him Genki.
But there is actually this cute scene where where they do reference the other Ned leads because Ned is like, are there other Ned leads?
Oh yeah, yeah, and then like Toby kind of makes a face because yeah, spoilers, Toby. Uh,
Yeah.
because Ned Leeds in the comics is he's not in the Raimi trilogy, but in the comics, one he's Hobgoblin, and two he works for the Bugle.
Yeah.
So there's that. That's cute.
When I was playing Miles Morales on the PS on my PS5, I didn't like Genki very much, but I think it was I think the only reason I didn't like him in the game was just because the amount of times he calls you and he interrupts you every 5 minutes. I'm sure in the comics and I'm sure in Spider-Verse 2 he's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I just don't like. I find Ned doesn't. He overstayed his welcome. He doesn't really add much anymore. But Peter needs a friend, and
Well, get ready to see him more because he's got the magic.
yeah, no, I honestly I don't think we're ever gonna see him again. But yeah, we get this scene earlier in the movie. We completely skipped over the mirror dimension fight.
Well,
I
there
just
wasn't a lot
realized.
about it. Like,
Yeah, and we see a lot of it in trailers and promo stuff. So like whatever. Doctor Strange doesn't like the idea of saving them. He thinks they should just go back to the universes and die. So Peter's not happy about that. So he fights them. He, this basically writes Strange out of the rest of the movie until the end, which I'm okay with.
yeah, because
So yeah,
Peter takes his ring thing. I forgot what they're called, and traps him in the glass dimension.
yep. And then he gives the box that has the spell in it to MJ, and MJ fucks off. And then that's where we pick her back up. Is here she has the box,
She has the
and
box, and
and
Ned has the ring.
has the portal ring, which they use to find Peter Parker.
Yeah, because Peter told them, if you don't hear from me in a couple hours, just press the button. And then they were like, we're gonna press the button. And then Ned's like, no, why don't we just open a portal to Peter? So they open a
Uh,
portal to Peter, but it's the wrong Peter.
yep. So this is where Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire return as Peter Parker, to the surprise of absolutely nobody.
I still cried
I
when I saw them
genuinely,
though.
I cried, I screamed, I cried, I pissed, I shat, I came. Like I felt every single possible emotion ever rush through my body. I don't know why people thought they weren't coming back.
I was 10% sure they weren't.
Listen, like all their villains came back. They're doing a multiverse movie. I don't know how people thought they were not going to bring Spider-Man back, but here they are, and they're great.
They're
Especially,
amazing.
especially Andrew Garfield, who really steals the show for me.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield really redeemed his version of Spider-Man because now people are really excited for a new one, and Sony I think teased a new one. They didn't confirm it, like I mean tease as in they were like maybe like that. I don't mean like they put out a teaser, but yeah, people really want to see another Amazing Spider-Man. I don't know how they would follow up the second one, but sure, like I'm down for it.
I think they could continue like where this movie leaves them off, and I'd be down to see him come back. He's really good here. He's still going through his traumas with Gwen here. So where these two Peters come from is a little weird. They don't really specify. Toby looks significantly older. Like they didn't even CG him to make him younger. He just looks like current Toby Maguire.
Yeah, and they reference that this is a lot after Spider-Man 3 because him and MJ worked things out.
Yeah, so like time has passed, but they don't clarify how much time. And when just there's a scene later where Tom asks them to just talk about other villains they fought, and they only talk about the villains from movies. So, like Toby mentions Venom.
And
He's,
Andrew mentions Rhino.
so like I kind of wish we heard more, like more villains they fought. But
Yeah.
I read something today actually that apparently Tobey Maguire specifically requested that they don't.
Oh, because then people would want a movie about that.
Maybe he wants to make a movie about that. But yeah, they're back. They have some really, really cute moments together. They really feel natural talking to each other and talking about their shared experiences.
Yeah, and Andrew really throws it out of the park with the brotherly love because Andrew near the beginning when he first meets Toby and Tom. Oh, by the way, for now we're probably not going to be saying Peter and Spider-Man anymore because now there's three of them, so we're going to be saying Toby, Andrew, and Tom just to
Yeah.
differentiate between the three. Just a heads up there. So Andrew near the beginning when he meets the other two says that like he wishes he had a brother and they're treating them like he's treating them like brothers and he keeps saying like I
Yeah.
love you guys and they keep hugging and they keep like
They're so cute. Like Toby has a back problem, which is a reference to his movie,
yeah.
and
And then Andrew's
and
like, "Oh, I also have the
oh,
same back problem."
I'll crack your back for you, and then like, he does it, and like, it's cute, and they have like a little banter about villains.
And there's the required banter about how Toby doesn't need web shooters.
I'm so happy they made a joke about that. Like, it's and he's just like I just like breathing. I don't think about it.
I just do it.
You know
Does it come
they
out
make
of other places too, or is it
yeah,
just
that like Andrew
yours?
makes a face. Like it's just really cute. This movie has a lot of cute Spider-Man.
It's so good. This movie's so good. It like the conversations feel so real.
Yeah, they're in this movie a lot longer than I thought they were gonna be. I
Yeah,
thought it was gonna be like just like the climax and that's it.
yeah,
But they're in it for like a good like for the entire last act. They're for like at least 30 minutes in this movie. They're here, and it's fun. It's nice. I'm so happy I got to see them again.
yeah. It was really good. I don't think we're ever gonna see them together ever again. Like this is probably the only time.
There's apparently talks of like Sony wanting to do this again. And personally, I don't want that, but we'll have to see what the future has in store.
Yeah, personally, if like, I don't know. I don't want them to bring in clone Peters like in the comics. I'm not
No,
sure
but
about Miles.
I just don't want to do multiverse with these like Spider-Verse and live action with these three again. That's what I don't want.
Yeah, because I'm saying like if I would want to see more than one Spider-Man in the same movie, I'd want them to be from the same universe. Because
That or I wouldn't mind if they voiced other Spider-Man in like a Spider-Verse movie, like an animated one, but they were different versions. Like maybe Tom is Spider-Man UK and Andrew is Ultimate Comics Spider-Man or whatever. Like I wouldn't mind that. But I don't need to see this movie again. We did it once, like that's it, we're done. We don't need to see this happen again.
but it was good though. Like in this movie, their dynamic was real.
Yeah.
They referenced the other movies just enough.
Yeah, they reference the other movies, they reference other events in their lives that relate to what's happening in this movie just enough.
Yes,
Like they both mentioned their Uncle Ben's.
yeah.
Andrew
Going back
mentioned,
to that scene right after Aunt May dies when when Tom goes to the top of the building, and then MJ and Ned come with the other two Peters, and that's when they talk about all their past life. It's a really cute scene. I really like it.
yeah, we finally get that Uncle Ben name drop in the MCU outside of What If. It's nice, and then Tom kind of snaps at them, and he's like, "Oh, don't tell me you understand what I'm feeling," because like they're the only ones who understand how you're feeling, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
literally,
they don't he doesn't know that they're both Peter Parker.
yeah. Like he finds that out when they say, "With great power comes great responsibility." That's when he finally like pieces it together.
Yeah, and probably when they mention Uncle Ben and Aunt May.
Yeah, yeah. Because and originally he says like, "Oh, like just go home. Like these are your villains. I'll send them home, and then they're your problem. It's not my problem anymore."
Yeah,
And
he was just gonna press the button.
yeah, and it's the other two Peters who like give him that Peter Parker push. Like, no, you can still do this. Like, you can still save him.
Yeah, and I think what my favorite line, my favorite scene or whatever, is there when Andrew Garfield is saying how after Gwen Stacy died, he stopped pulling his punches and he started killing, and he was in a very dark place. I think he's still like he's still trying to come out of it,
Yeah,
but by the
at the end
time
of the
that
movie, he's still not there yet. He's not out of it yet, but he's made steps.
yeah, he's made, and there's one thing that happens in the last fight that we're gonna talk about that really really brings him back to
Um,
Earth, and
finds his
that's
way
my favorite
home.
scene in the movie.
I'll say again, that's another scene. Like, well, like everybody saw it coming,
Yeah.
but seeing it in the movie just made it better.
So do you wanna get to the final fight now?
There's like a little bit more. There's like the scene of making the cures right for everybody, and that's how we get a lot of insight on what they've been doing with their lives.
I thought we talked about that already. Okay, whatever. So
You know, like
this is a long episode. I'm sorry.
like the sciencey stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah, we could just move to the final fight. I think that's where
yeah.
the
That's where they talk about Harry Osborn, and then Ned's like, because Peter's like, I had a best friend, but then he became evil, and then he died, and he
and
tried
that's
to.
also true. That's also true for Andrews
It's also true for Andrew's Harry, and then
and uh,
and then Ned's like, he goes to Tom and he's like, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna become evil and try to kill you."
just funny because he's Hobgoblin in the comics. And that's also where they do the Spider-Man pointing meme. They do it in this scene because they had to throw that in there, right?
Yeah, oh, it's so good. The banter is so good. The references are so good. It's all great.
Yeah. Then like after that, we just move on to the final fight, and the final fight is amazing.
Yeah, the final fight is
There's
it's
so
real.
much.
It's epic. That's the best way to describe. It's epic.
It is epic. This fight did more for me than the Endgame final fight did.
I think so. Yeah, is it the endgame final fight was? I mean, it
We get
lasted too long.
we get the characters interacting with their Spider-Man. We get some good jokes and some good moments with because the three Peters, two of them don't know how to work as a team. This confirms that the Avengers don't exist in their timeline or in their universe.
Yeah, because he's like, guys,
Yeah.
I know how to work as a team. I'm an Avenger, and then Toby's like, that's amazing.
And I was
Who
like, "Are
is
you in a
that?
band? Are you in a band?"
Yeah, are you in a band? That's
Oh,
awesome. I want to
I,
be in a band.
I I kind of like that they maintain they're the only superheroes in their universes.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Then like the easy solution to their problem is, oh, we can't work as a team. Just turn your brain off and let your spider sense do all the work.
Yeah. What else? There's another scene. Yeah, where they're like, wait, you've been to space? And then Toby's like, yeah, I fought a giant goo alien. And Andrew's like, you guys fought aliens?
I'm lame compared to you guys. I just fought a Russian guy in a mech, and then he's like, no, you're amazing. I want to hear you say it. You are amazing.
Oh,
It's so good. I really do.
the conversation between the three is so good. I would
Toby is definitely the weakest of the three, and in this like acting wise, but he has so many cute moments that I'm so happy he's back.
But you're amazing. I want you to say it. Can you say it? No, no, I'm good. It's good. Thank you. Oh, it's such a good movie. It's a really good movie. Like even on its own, separated from the other Spider-Man movies, it's still super good.
It's a good Spider-Man movie.
I envy the kids of this generation because they're growing up with this. Like, yeah, we grew up with Tobey Maguire, and like, yeah, they're good movies. I'm not saying they're bad movies.
Oh, I
Like,
think
but
Spider-Man
these
2.
kids are growing up with this Spider-Man, and yeah, it's bad to grow up with Tom Holland because then they're gonna be Tom Holland stans for the rest of their life. But but Spider-Man No Way Home is actual cinema. So yeah, the final fight. Oh, we forgot to mention that up until this point, like in the scene where they're in Happy's apartment before Aunt May dies, Peter actually fixes Doctor Octopus, so he's
Yeah,
back to being Otto Octavius.
he fixes Otto, but the other three, the other four, sorry, they escape and they're
Yeah, they
still evil.
escape. Otto's not there to help until like later in the end, when Otto comes to help out, and for some reason, like this is just this is the biggest problem I have with the movie. It's kind of unwarranted that Flint Marko just becomes evil again.
Well, I don't think it's that he becomes evil. I don't even think he's evil here.
Yeah, he's just like, I want to go
Siding,
home. I want to see my
siding,
daughter. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what Peter's
siding.
trying to do.
I think siding with Goblin is the fastest way for him to get home. Because, like, in my mind, even if time has passed, Flint Marko is still a criminal. He's just friends with Spider-Man.
I guess so, but it's still I don't know. I still it's just weird. I feel like that they
It,
just did
it is,
that so that they could have an extra person to fight
yeah.
for the
Either that
final
or,
fight.
like, it's just Flint Marko's an idiot and he's easy to take advantage of, so he's manipulated into being evil. The impression I got is just, like, siding with Norman was the fastest way to get home.
I guess so.
Because he said it
Yeah.
earlier was, "Oh, we have to wait for everyone to get cured or else we can't leave." And then Norman offers him a faster alternative, so he sides with Norman.
Okay, okay, yeah, I forgot about that. Well, okay, that's a better way to explain it then. All right, my point is taken out. But anyways, I think the first person they redeem is because they're all working together and they like
Yeah, they're working.
strategically put all the
Yeah,
cures in
yeah,
random like not random spots, I think strategic spots. The first person they cure is Lizard, I think, right?
yeah. No, no, it's Sandman first, then the Lizard.
It's Sandman, then the Lizard.
They both hardly put up a fight,
Yeah.
really.
And then
And
Ned and MJ make it into the picture somehow, and MJ starts
it's
falling down.
Ned wasn't able to close the portal,
Yeah. So
so we get the trailer shot of MJ falling.
yeah,
To
and
nobody's surprise, Andrew's the one to save her because
he,
it had to be Andrew. It had to be Andrew.
but I'm happy it was Andrew because that was his. This is the end of Andrew's arc.
Yeah, he got to he redeemed himself for
Yeah,
letting.
he got to get closure on Gwen. So
I liked their exchange too. Like he catches her,
and
and
then
he's like, "Oh,
he
are you
he
okay?"
he catches her and he just starts crying. He just
Yeah,
starts crying.
yeah. Well, he's like, "Are you okay?" And then MJ's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Are you okay?" And then you see his face and he's crying. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good moment.
It's a really good moment. That's another part where I cried 3 times in this movie. This is the second time. First time was Toby. Well, not Andrew. Andrew was fine when he came. It was when Toby came in, and then this scene right here. Second time I cried. So there you go. I have one more.
And this is followed by the Electro fight, where the three team up to take down Electro. They get their asses kicked, and
Yeah.
they're saved by Otto, which is amazing because I love Alfred Molina,
Yeah,
and he's
while they're fighting these people, the Spider-Man for that villain saves them, so they have this cute like back to back while they're fighting. One my favorite one is when Toby sees Doctor Octopus, and then they have that little conversation before they continue the fight.
my boy, you've grown up. How have you been? And Toby's like, I'm trying to be better. I'm like, yeah, yes, I cried.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah, like Toby saves Sandman. Otto saves Electro. He does it for them because like the three were kind of getting their asses kicked by Electro.
Yeah.
But Max does get his moment with Andrew. There's a little cute nod to Miles Morales in that scene. It's just a really cute moment. Like Andrew apologizing for not being black is really cute and funny.
Yeah, he's like, I really thought Spider-Man would be black. Maybe there is a black Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Max is like, oh, I'm sorry. And but it's cute.
I love that. And then Norman Osborn comes back. Where the fuck was he? Like, actually, where was he?
Yeah, man was just vibing off screen. It's fine.
Man
It's
was just
okay.
waiting for his cue. He was just kidding.
We get it kind of. I'm not crazy about this fight.
Me neither.
I think the apartment fight is a lot better. And while it was nice to see Tom Holland just get angry and just beat the shit out of Willem Dafoe, I don't know how I feel about it as like the last fight of a movie. I think it missed that like spectacle.
Yeah,
Like
well, I
this,
don't think it needs a spectacle, right? Because it's all emotion.
right?
Peter, the only
True.
reason Peter is like going so hard on Norman is because he killed Aunt May and he's trying to get revenge. He's trying to kill him. He's
Yeah,
trying to kill him.
but
Uh,
then our boy Toby stops him from killing him.
but then our boy Toby
He
gets
gets stabbed.
stabbed.
Everyone, I mean, we all knew he wasn't gonna die, and everyone like in my theater gasped, and it was really funny. Yeah, then like, Andrew throws the anti-goblin serum, and they save Norman, and happily ever after.
Except it's not because now it's even worse than what it was before because now the multiverse and everything else. And the whole reason why everyone is there is because people know Peter Parker exists. Not just that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So
Yeah, it's they know that. Well, they're coming through because they know Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but an easy workaround is, hey, what if everyone forgot Peter Parker exists?
yeah, oh, we forgot to mention Strange came back during this fight.
Yeah, yeah, after Otto saves them from Electro, Strange comes back, and,
Yeah.
and and then we get that shot from the trailer where they're like, where Strange is like, "Oh, I'm trying to hold them back, but I can't hold them for much longer."
Yeah, they're
That's what
coming in and I can't stop. And that scene is beautiful. Like purple's my
it is.
favorite color. But like when the
It,
sky is all purple and it's cracking open and you see the silhouettes of other comic book characters. There's a bunch of them up there that people are still trying
it
to
is.
identify.
Yeah, there's the Rhino. I'm sure once this movie gets a home release, people will be analyzing those webs.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what people find. Right now we can't really talk about it because there's not like a high definition picture of that yet.
The only one that I noticed for sure was the Rhino.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, when we get that scene, Peter has to make a decision. They cast the spell again and make everyone forget Peter Parker.
People still remember Spider-Man, but it's just everyone forgets that Peter Parker is even a person.
Like he has like records that he exists, but but no one remembers him.
Yeah, no one's
And
gonna remember him, including Strange, because he cast a
including
spell.
Strange, including MJ and Ned, we get a really really nice, beautifully shot goodbye.
Yeah, he's first he says goodbye to the other two Peters.
Yep, they hug. It's cute. I cried.
Yeah, they hug. After seeing that scene, because I knew the whole time I was like, I don't want to see them again in a different movie. This is enough. But after seeing that hugging scene, I was like, oh, I kind of want to see them again.
I just want to see a 2 hour cut of the scaffolding scene where they're talking about their lives. I just want that.
Yeah, the only thing I want to see is just them talking, like in the lab and in the scaffolding scene. Then this is the third time I cried. This is the last time I cried. Then he says goodbye to Ned and MJ. Very heartbreaking scene.
Very very beautifully shot. I don't like Jon Watts too much as a director. I think overall this movie is shot pretty boringly. Like it's not very engaging to look at.
They say goodbye. They have this great touching scene. This beautifully shot last like kiss between Peter and MJ. Really
Yep.
like it.
Say the last like 15-20 minutes of this movie are fantastic.
Yeah, like it's just seeing the consequences is so good.
It's like a joke that I want to watch his kid suffer, but I really think Peter needed a movie like this where it's just he finally has to clean up his own shit. He has to deal with things properly. And like it's the ultimate sacrifice. He's completely alone now. But I think having that fresh start for him going forward is exciting.
Yeah. So yeah, then he does the spell and it's all gone. And he goes to the coffee shop where MJ works, and then Ned is there, and because
Okay,
before the
yeah, like,
spell, he told MJ that he's gonna find her, and he's gonna make her love him again, and they're gonna get back together, and
the
he
choice he makes in the end is what I wanted him to make. I'm
yeah,
very happy.
like he prepares everything, he practices it, he writes down what he's gonna say. He goes to the coffee shop, he sees her, and he doesn't say anything. He just orders a coffee.
Sees her and Ned, and then they're both happy.
Yeah.
They're both okay. They're both safe, and that's good enough for him. He's like, you know what? I'm okay.
Yeah,
I can.
that shows that he truly loves both of them, and he doesn't want to put them through any of that pain again. So he just opted not to say anything.
Yep. And then he leaves, and we see the thing I've been waiting 6 movies for. Another reference to Spider-Man PS4, by the way. Moving to his apartment, and he pulls out a police scanner, We cut to a table of a sewing machine with some red and blue fabric, and the man jumps out the window swinging in his suit that he made himself. Peter Parker finally made his own fucking suit.
Tom Holland made his suit.
And it's amazing. I think this might be my new favorite live action suit. I need to see like HD renders of it, but I think this might be my new favorite live
Oh,
action
it's
suit.
it's definitely gonna be in Spider-Man 2, so that's probably where you're gonna see
Oh,
the most.
it's so good. It's perfect. The spider is perfect. The red and blue is perfect. The back spider is a little iffy. That's the one thing I don't like about it. The lenses look great. I love this new suit so much. I want him to this to just be his permanent suit.
Yeah, I also want this to be his permanent suit. This suit looks
And like
so good. Unfortunately, I already knew this suit existed. I'm not gonna say where I work, but I work in a place that sells toys, and I work in the warehouse, and there was this toy there, and it said, "Do not put on the shelf before December 17th." Guess what? It fucking was. So yeah, I already knew that suit was a thing, and I was kind of mad. But yeah, at least you're gonna see toys for it, Pat. So
yeah. And you know what? We have a fresh slate for this Peter Parker. And unlike how I felt at the end of Far From Home, this movie made me excited for the future. I'm ready to see where Sony and Marvel take this character. I could not be happier with this ending as a Spider-Man fan.
yeah, the ending is really good. I don't have any problems with it.
Yep,
It's it's
perfect.
just a it's
It's
just
as perfect as can be for a Spider-Man movie. I think
yeah,
the
it's the
last.
perfect ending. And
That's the movie.
yeah, that's the movie. That's it. We did it. An hour 30 minutes.
I still have a lot more to say, but we've been going for 90 minutes on this movie, and we still have another movie to talk about. So I think we should probably cut it here. But this was a good ass Spider-Man movie. Uh,
This was an amazing movie by itself even.
no, yeah, I have some issues with it that I talked about here and there, but the excitement I felt watching this movie is just unmatched up to this point, and I think will continue to go on unmatched.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't watch it in theaters. If like restrictions get lifted in time, I might be able to watch it in theaters if it's still there, but probably not.
Maybe a home release 4K will be nice.
Well, I'm gonna have to, right? I'm gonna buy the 4K and play the DVD, but it's still not gonna get that the
Yeah,
same.
yeah, for sure. This was a great time. I would suggest you guys go watch it if you haven't seen it. I don't know why you stuck around this long if you haven't, but thank you.
Just
I have
wow.
more to say, but for you guys and for us, I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah, because there's a lot more. I mean, we might make a follow up to this.
Yeah, we might do a follow up maybe after a home release, or maybe when we talk about Homecoming and Far From Home. Maybe we'll do a follow up there if we cover those movies. So yeah, we'll definitely have more to say in the future. But for now, that's
And for now, that's Spider-Man No Way Home. 4.5
um,
stars from me.
it
Excellent
made me
movie.
it made me so happy. And for all my friends, they finally get me to shut up about this goddamn movie. So they're
Yeah,
happy too.
Pat Pat can finally shut up about the movie. And actually, this is something I noticed because I finished editing last episode yesterday. Pat, we didn't make a Spider-Man reference.
Well, this whole episode is Spider-Man references, right? So
No, no, last episode. Last
no, I
episode.
know, but this one makes up for it. This one being 90 minutes so far makes up for it.
All right, so we're gonna move on to not off the presses, but backlogged. Okay, so last episode, I recommended Pat to watch Ocean's 11, which is a
Yeah,
movie I have no idea how he hasn't seen, but now he has. So, Pat, why don't you tell us about it?
this is a movie he made fun of me basically for not having seen.
And
Um,
now that you've
for a
seen
long
it, do you
time.
agree?
Yeah, I'm surprised I have not sat down and watched this earlier because it's good.
What did
I
you
love I gave it a 4.5 on 5. Might bump it up to a 5 because I love heist movies and the cast in this is fucking phenomenal. The story in this is goddamn phenomenal. It's just a great movie.
did you like the twist at the end?
I did.
It was I did you see it coming? I mean, like first time I saw it, I didn't, but now like I mean,
I
it seems pretty
so
obvious.
I knew about it. I knew what was happening because I've heard about this movie before. So unfortunately, I did not go into this completely blind. I had fun. I had a good time.
It's a pretty easy watch up until the end. If you watch it just sitting down, turning off your brain, you will be confused at the end. But that's the good thing. That's the good part.
It was nice to see George Clooney younger. I love Brad Pitt. Love Matt Damon. This cast is amazing.
You want to read the plot synopsis?
All-star cast. Yeah, sure. So that I'm gonna read the Google one, so it's different.
Yeah. So okay. Well,
Danny Ocean, played by George Clooney, is a man of action. Less than 24 hours into his parole from New Jersey Penitentiary, that's how you say that,
yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Wry, charismatic thief is already rolling on to his next. Following 3 rules: don't hurt anybody, don't steal from anyone who doesn't deserve it, and play the game like you've got nothing to lose. Danny orchestrates the most sophisticated, elaborate casino heist in history, which is true because there's several casinos. It's a big take.
Yeah. It's three casinos, but they all use the same vault because they're all owned by the same person.
I miss heist movies.
Did,
Watching
did you see my
this,
review for it? Because I watched it last night.
I have not.
Go
Hold on.
go look at it.
You son of a bitch, I'm in. Yep, that's the movie.
You son of a bitch! I'm in.
I love heist movies, but we don't have many of them, and so I don't watch them super frequently. And especially coming off Army of the Dead that came out earlier this year, which is a zombie heist movie. Those sucks. This made me miss heist movies.
I really want. I'm not forcing you to. Like it's not part of the segment, but I really want you to also watch Ocean's 12 and Ocean's 13.
Yeah, Netflix has recommended them to me now, so I'll probably watch them.
The rule of sequels applies here. Ocean's 13 is the worst one, right? But that doesn't mean it's bad. Like they're both still really really good. They're directed by all three of them are directed by Steven Soderbergh. I think the only other movie that you might have seen from him is Logan Lucky. Have you seen that?
I have, yes.
You have seen Logan Lucky? Yeah, because
I have.
Daniel Craig and Adam Driver are in it. Pretty cool. But he's directed a bunch of other stuff, but I don't think you've seen any of it. I haven't seen any of it. Oh, Magic Mike, he did Magic Mike.
I've seen Magic Mike.
Yeah,
It's getting a sequel, apparently.
it is.
Apparently.
Shit. Well, maybe we'll talk about it. Probably not
I doubt
actually.
it. I doubt it, but maybe.
Yeah, I doubt it. It's on the cusp of being porn, but you know, it's right on that line. But Ocean's 11 is a very sophisticated, very smart heist movie. One of the best ones. I think it is the best heist movie.
It's
That
definitely like I think it might be the best heist movie I've seen, at least.
it's just I can't wait for you to watch the other two because I want to hear what you think about those. Now,
And we could follow up on those too. If I watch them soon, we could talk about them next time or something.
yeah, we can. One thing I do want to talk about for this movie is so Don Cheadle is in it.
Don Cheadle is in it. I laughed when I saw him.
Did you laugh when you heard him though?
Yeah, and then he started speaking. I'm like, okay, Don Cheadle.
So earlier in the episode, I said that we're gonna talk about someone with a stupid accent. Don Cheadle puts on like a Cockney accent for this movie, and
It's
it's one of the worst accents I've ever heard in a movie. And he's actually fun fact, he's uncredited in this movie. Do you want to know why?
wait, really? Why?
Because he wanted the same pay as George Clooney as Brad Pitt.
Oh,
Uh,
that was never.
yeah,
Poor,
but
poor.
they didn't give it to him. So then he just said, okay, then don't credit me. I don't want to be credited in this.
Nice.
So it was his decision. But he is credited in the second one. So yeah. Yeah, so we got to see a young Don Cheadle, 2001 by the way, this movie. We got to see a young Don Cheadle put on a terrible accent.
10 years before he was an Iron Man.
Yeah, 10 years before he was in Iron Man. I think this wasn't his first movie. He was also in Boogie Nights, if you've seen that. But yeah, really good movie. Like the best heist movie. One of my favorites. I gave it 4 stars.
Yep, I struggled to not give it a 5.
I might bump it up to a 5, but I'll have to rewatch the other ones.
It was short, but that's all I really have to say about it. Just go watch it. My
Yeah,
throat hurts.
it's really good. Like
I've been talking a lot this episode.
you have, but it's okay. This is your episode.
Honestly, I wanted to talk more. I'm really like stopping myself from talking more about Spider.
Okay, we'll do a follow up. We'll do a follow
Yeah,
up.
I mean, we're at like an hour 40, right? It's like
Yeah, we're at
cut
an hour
down.
40 right now.
Yeah, cut down will be like an hour 30,
30.
an hour 20,
Yeah.
which isn't too long. I thought we'd go on longer. Yeah, well, I don't want to drown you guys in Spider-Man facts, mainly because I have a movie to recommend, Mr.
Oh
Libertino.
wait, what one last thing. Oh my god, I completely forgot to mention this when we talk about Spider-Man. It reached $1 billion in the box office this week.
Yep,
Congrats.
congrats! It's the highest grossing movie since the pandemic started,
Yeah, highest grossing pandemic movie.
which
Uh
isn't not surprising.
yeah,
But
and one of the highest grossing movies of all time now.
Lib, I have a movie to recommend you.
You do have a movie to recommend me.
It's a movie we actually talked about, you having not seen in the last episode.
Oh shit, really?
It's a little flick that has a sequel in theaters right now.
Oh.
Uh, I am recommending you a movie starring Colin Firth. Sam Jackson is in it.
Mm-hmm.
Taron Egerton is in it.
Okay.
Michael Caine is in it.
I know what this movie is.
It's Kingsman: The Secret Service.
I don't know how I haven't seen this.
I give it. I will talk about it next time. I like this movie.
I want you to just to clarify this because I don't know if this is true, but is it a James Bond knockoff?
Kind of.
Okay, yeah, so it's like Get Smart, or
It's
is
not a parody. It's a serious movie, but
oh
it's
it's a
basically.
okay
But it's inspired very heavily by James Bond.
by Jameson Bond.
It's a knockoff, not a parody.
Okay, yeah, okay, good way to put it. All right, cool. I'm really excited to watch this. I heard it's hilarious.
It's really good. I really enjoyed it. More than I can say about the second one.
I'm actually because it's if you see my watch list, there's like a row of all Kingsmen. I'm really I'm really looking forward to that the American spin-off version. What is it? What's it called? The Statesman?
I don't think this is real, but anyway.
It's on Letterboxd.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, the Kingsmen too. I don't like, but the
Speaking
Kingsman.
of things that are not real on Letterboxd, this it's there right now. I don't know if it's gonna get taken down, but people, you need to see this. Go on Letterboxd and type Venom 3. You
Oh,
won't be
yes,
disappointed.
that's the Fortnite skins. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the. Oh no, they took it off.
sad.
Oh, it's gone. No. Little fun update. Letterboxd actually just didn't load the picture when I was trying to look up the Venom 3. It's still there. If you go right now on Letterboxd, I don't know if it'll be up at the time you listen to this or if it'll be up at the time this is posted. But right now, this is as of January 4th, which is when I'm editing this. You can go on Letterboxd, search Venom 3. You'll find this fake Venom 3 poster. This shows the Fortnite skins for Venom and Eddie Brock. Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock, because apparently that's in Fortnite. I don't know. Man, it's just not a thing that should be on Letterboxd, but it's hilarious. Go look right now. And just in case it's not there, little treat. I'm gonna put up the picture for you right now. So if you're on YouTube listening to this, if you're on Spotify, go on YouTube right now on our YouTube channel, Fresh Off the Reel. I'm putting the picture up of the fake poster right now. So just see if you want to look at it. So there you go. Bam. That's what it looks like. Yeah, it's pretty funny. All right, back to the last like 3 minutes of the episode. All right,
That's a,
well,
that's a wrap, I guess.
yeah, that's a wrap. So next week I'm gonna be talking about Kingsman: The Secret Service, and then I'm gonna recommend Pat something else.
We're gonna talk about another movie that I don't remember right now.
Yeah, usually we tease the next episode because we know what it's gonna be, but this time we both completely forgot. So I'm pretty sure we're both opening the schedule right now.
Yep.
Oh, okay, all right. So next episode is gonna be a bit of a different one. We're not gonna be talking about an individual movie. Next week we are doing our year in review. This is going to replace our what we watched in. We're gonna do once per year instead. So,
We're just gonna talk about the podcast in general because it started this year.
yeah,
What we watched on the podcast, what we watched in our own time, We'll be having a special guest. Ooh, join us
Ooh, our first special
to talk
guest.
about. Yep, we'll be talking about Jazz Walker's projects. We'll be talking about personal projects. It's next week is going to be more of a shoot the shit type of podcast.
Yeah,
So we probably won't be talking about Kingsman next week. We'll be talking about it in 2 weeks.
yeah, in two
With
weeks, and where we will be talking about a movie.
a film, even.
Yeah, a cinema, if you will.
Yeah, with that, got nothing else to say, so I'll let my co-host close things off.
Thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to this episode. Make sure to check out all of our other episodes and all of our social accounts, which you could find on the link tree. That's linktr.ee/fresh_of_the_real. Or just go on YouTube, type Fresh Off the Reel, and you'll find it in the description of our YouTube channel. You'll also find all the other episodes. This podcast was brought to you by the Jazzwalkers Network, which is where we all congregate. All of our friends, all of our mates, all of our buddies, we're all there. There's going to be some content coming up there soon, so make sure you check them out. The Jazzwalkers, because you'll also find us there, and you'll also find us in person. Who knows what you'll find? Kind of like a variety show, you know? And on our link tree, you will find at the top a form that you could fill out to recommend us a movie or TV show that we will then watch, and we might use your recommendation for a review for the podcast. So if you want to be the one to influence a podcast episode, then make sure to give us your recommendations. And with that, we will see all of you in the theater near you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.